invite them onto the stage in a second once I just run through the slide, and then once they're on stage and ask the first question, the 12 minutes starts running. AA accountants, who are actually sitting here, with Abdul from Adams Cash and Carrie. The beginning of the story, and each story has a beginning, a middle and an end, and the beginning of the story will always be at the top there. The beginning of the story was this was a business that had serious profit, cash flow and work-life balance issues. But what's happened with the help from a great accountant doing great stuff is that turnover's massively increased, gross margins are more than doubled, net profit gone up hugely, cash flow massively improved, 12 new jobs created. Perhaps most profoundly, the working week of the business owner, Abdul, that you'll meet in a second, transformed, which is hugely important because that's more valuable, irreplaceable, never to be got again time with the young family. And has also been able to start bringing more of his life's goals and dreams into reality by buying 8 investment properties. So that's the backdrop to this particular story. So to explain how it happened, what happened, how they did it so that you can do the stage, would you please join me in welcoming our first two? So Shaz and Abdul, please come to the stage, take your seats. Fantastic, guys. So as I say, I have the same questions to ask of all 6 of our storytellers. They're welcome to sit down or stand if that's your preference. I know Abdul at least wants to stand, which is obviously fine. A couple of the questions are for the client, a couple of the questions are for the accountant, and then the final question is for both of you. So Abdul, to start off with, what were the main issues that you needed help with?
When we talk about the issues, actually, December 2011, actually my life was full of issues. In other words, I can say it was completely a hell. There was no life at all. There was no social life, no business life. I bought that time a property which was 8 times bigger than my existing properties where I was running my business. And I paid £239,000 VAT, which HMRC was not paying me back. So I had a cash flow problem. The same time I needed to build a 6,000 square foot freezer for my business to continue. The bank was not giving me a loan. I had a problem with existing lenders used to be give me. They refused me to give me that loan as well. Because I bought that building and I supposed to be get the capital allowances, and my existing accountant said I won't be able to get much out of that one. It's no point actually claiming that one. I had overdraft issues because the same bank who used to be come and ask me, Abdul, do you need more loan? But the same bank was refusing me to give me the loans in December 2011. I was working, as he said, mentioned here, 70 to 80 hours. Because I was working long hours, I had no social life, no time for my children and my missus. My missus were depressed, and my life was completely upside down. When I used to be come from work back home, and sometime I used to be not wanted to come home and see my children. The condition, they said, Dad, we haven't had a meal today because Mom was very aggressive with us. And it was a really nightmare. And sometime I used to be think, to be honest with you, many times I actually decided to kill myself. But then I thought, this is not a brave thing. Actually, I have to fight this one. And it's not only me, because that time I had 20 plus staff working for me. And I thought, if actually I do anything to myself, these people will be jobless. They have no jobs. And the same time, I had a problem with my team was working for me because according to Shaz, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. And because I couldn't afford it, and I used to be just pay a basic salary to the staff, and they were not doing a proper job, everything, I was doing it myself. If there is for example, if there's a paper run out in the printer, they used to come to me and say, what do we do now? So I was running like a headless chicken, and I was completely depressed. I didn't know what to do because all those supplies used to be give me credit. They actually stopped giving me more credits as well, and the customers were not paying me money on the time as well. So actually, my life was completely, in other words, you can say it was like a hell.
My goodness, there's a candid opening position. Thank you hugely for being so candid. I know Shaz is really keen to get in there and explain what he did to help. So Shaz, floor is yours. What did you do to help and make a difference?
It's a very long list here, Steve, but I'll obviously try and keep it within the 2.5 minutes. So the first big issue was £200,000 owed by HMRC for the VAT, which was a big problem. So I spoke to the HMRC officer, and within a few days, we got the VAT back. So that was a huge burden off Abdul's shoulders because he was having sleepless nights. Mm-hmm. The next thing we did was, because it was around Christmas time, we needed to get the capital allowances sorted out. So I called up a couple of people and said, there's no way we can come out. It's 2 days left to Christmas. It was on the 23rd. I managed to saw somebody, they came in, and we managed to get £279,000 in capital allowances. And that money would have gone wasted because the previous advisor and the lawyer said, you can't do anything about that. Systemization was a massive problem. Like Abdul said, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. The staff really weren't on board. There was no vision for the business. There was no mission. There was absolutely no team culture. When you walk into the place, you could actually feel that. It was very cold and miserable. So I started working with Abdul and his team. We had monthly PMI meetings, so monthly board review meetings for the first 12 months. And like Tom Peters said, we left no stone unturned. We turned sacred cows into beef burgers simply because this is a man who really wanted to achieve things. He came from Pakistan 25 odd years ago, couldn't speak a word of English, but he was inspired by the things people could achieve in this country. So for him, this was a land of opportunity. And I wanted to make sure I can assist him as far as possible. He bought a massive freezer worth £200,000. The bank said, we can't give you any more money. No more overdraft, no more money. I spoke to quite a few banks in the UK. They all said no. Luckily, in the end, I had to go to Funding Circle, and they gave us £200,000 for the freezer. So you can imagine how big the freezer was. It had the size of 4 houses, probably. Yeah. And that's some of the stuff we've done. And obviously, work-life balance was appalling. So we had to sort that out. And because he was going to make some massive profits in the plan, we also did some advanced tax planning, which I'll talk about later.
So the sort of what sort of impact did that have? How exactly then did all of those things make life better?
Well, in 2011, his turnover was 4.1 million. It's now 8.4, heading towards 10 million pounds next year. So this is in the space of 3.5 odd years. His profits have increased by 142% in the last year, over 700% since we started working together in December 2011. Gross profit margins have more than doubled. And this is a man who said to me, I can't increase my prices. You don't understand my business. This is a cash and carry. It's ruthless. If I charge a penny more, people will go elsewhere.
But that didn't prove to be the case.
I proved him wrong.
Yes.
The team's so much happier now. Average team score, Abdul told me, is 9.3%. Sorry, 9.3 out of 100. Business value...
Out of 10, I presume.
Out of 10, sorry.
Yeah.
Not 100.
We got there.
Out of 10. Out of 10.
You call yourself an accountant?
Yeah.
Sorry, Shaz. A brilliant one.
I can't count, yeah. Business value has improved by more than 450%. That's important because obviously he's looking to become a property investor. So one day he will exit from the business. So we've kept a close eye on that. Because the place was so big and he bought it from the co-op, he had a lot of land and car parking space. So very quickly we established we should have some storage units there and hire out or rent out some of the space. So we've increased the rental income by £307,000 by having storage units and renting out the space to a couple of neighbours. He had bookkeeping issues, so I gave him an in-house accountant, one of my accountants, to go there every single Friday to work with him. working 70 to 80 hours a week. Wife was depressed, kids were depressed, everybody was depressed. Seriously, if you go to his house, it wasn't a happy place. He's now working 10 hours, so that's been a fantastic success for him. He had 8 investment properties. When I wrote this case study, he now has 22 units, looking to buy a hotel for £3 million. He's also looking to build 20 units in a place called Spalding, which is in Lincolnshire. His son's been promoted to marketing director. His wife is happier, and I'm happy to say she's so much more healthier. She's gained weight. She's happy that things are moving in the right direction. She's also helping Aziz in the investment properties, because she's always been very engaged in that. He's got more time to enjoy for himself. He likes horse riding, and then in the last 5 or 6 years, he wasn't able to do that. So he can do that. He's learned to play golf. He's also taking flying lessons, because I was taking flying lessons. He was inspired by that. He does that. 17 more jobs have been created since 2011. And he's also doing 2 things which were inspired through Accountants Changing the World. One is he's educating 213 children in Kashmir. That's where he's from. Every single year. And on a regular basis, he's feeding homeless people in Peterborough. So that's
amazing.
some of the stuff he's done in the last 3.5 years.
That's amazing. And most of those things would not have happened without your input and without those insights you brought to the table. Abdul, what difference has all of that made to your life? How does it make you feel? How did you feel then? How do you feel now?
Well, I can say it's amazing. And as everybody knows, that money doesn't bring happiness. But I think it helps to bring the happiness. My life is completely changed now. I am the happiest person in this planet, to be honest with you. And it's not actually, I would like to share my success story with you, because I am the most smart person. I know you, all of you are here, more smarter than me and clever than me. But I think if you have the right people, if you are working with the right people, every person can enjoy their life and they can have a success in their life. But the biggest success, I think, in my life is, just imagine 213 children who couldn't afford food, school fees, and uniform. So that's why they were deprived to go to the school. Just imagine if those children were yours or mine, how would we feel? I feel amazing when I actually send them a check every month, and those 213 children go to school regularly, and when I see the happiness on their face, I think that's the biggest achievement for me. The second thing, as Shaz mentioned, I actually arrange a hot meal for the homeless people in Peterborough, which is a great feeling I get. And on top of that one, I'm actually doing a parachute jump in a couple of weeks' time, where I will be raising money for the Sue Rider, who they help actually all those ill people, actually, like cancer patients and like those ones. And they are in the last days of their life. So this Sue Rider, actually, they help them. So I'm actually raising money for them.
Wow, I'm afraid the time is up. However, Abdul, that is gobsmacking. Would you please join me in saying a huge thank you? Thank you so much, both of you. Awesome, awesome. Thank you. None of that would have happened without a great accountant stepping in and using his skills with numbers to make a difference. And the impact on someone's life from that story at the beginning to where they are now. And the impact isn't just on Abdul and his wife and on the family and the kids and the business and the jobs, but the impact is much, much bigger, isn't it? It's really telling that he chose to finish on talking about the things that he's able to do for other people as a consequence of being successful in his business. And so our ability to change the world one business at a time, one step at a time, is profound. It is profound, and I'm humbled by the fact that you would share your story so candidly, warts and all. So, can I suggest that, and I'm going to suggest this at the end of each of them, take out the centre page spread there, give these guys a score out of 100, or however else you want to score them, just so that you can remember each of the stories as we go through, and then when it comes to the voting, you'll know where you're going to cast your vote. We've got 5 more stories to hear, so we will see.